This one's gonna be the toughest one yet, because in going into 1 and 2s, I already knew whose was gonna be number 1 and whose was gonna be like number 5. The middle parts were the tricky one. This one, compared to Danganronpa 1 and 2, these executions are just fucking brutal. Like, there's nothing goofy. Like, I said in Danganronpa 2, a lot of it is goofiness, kind of. But V3 was like, goofy. How about we just make things fucking painful? And it's like, Kaide's, oh my god. Tone shift, tone setter. Oh my god. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to put Tsurugi's last, because as cool as, like, Kibo going into super robo mode, she does just die with getting crushed by, like, rubble and stuff. So it's just not as flashy as the other ones. It's really cool on Kibo's end. So it's not as like up there. 5. I'm gonna have to put Kaito's, because it is just going into a spaceship, and then, if I'm not mistaken, he just comes crashing back down, but he does get to see space, so that's really cool. And like, this is definitely personal bias of not liking Kaito anyway, so the moment of him finally getting into space is like, yeah, sure, cool and all. But like, I didn't like you, dude, so sayonara, I guess. I think I have in mind what number 1 is. Now it's figuring out 4 and 3. Emotionally, it's like Gonta really doesn't deserve this. Especially with like all the bugs. Like, oh, it's a hard watch. Meanwhile, Korekiyo 100% deserves it. And like, it's still like, holy shit. I'm gonna put Gonta's 4 and then Korekiyo's 3. Because I remember everybody talking about Korekiyo's and how it's like, wow, he might actually not get that bad of an execution. Look at his sister. And then just, no. But Gonta's, it's a very hard watch. Even as someone that's not like the biggest Gonta fan, it's still an incredibly hard watch. And like with all the bugs, just oof, eesh. But I think Korekiyo's is more memorable because the whole incest thing is just like gross. And then his whole like execution also dealing with the incest thing, and then like him just completely deserving it. I think that puts it above Gonta's just in the memorable factor. But Gonta's is way more emotional. So that's why it's kind of hard. These are interchangeable depending on what is a heavier factor to you, in my opinion. I mean, even Kaito's could probably go above either of them, depending on just your emotional attachment to a character. But Kaide's sets the absolute tone of just, these executions are no longer going to be as goofy, like how Teru's was, or like Mikan's. This is just straight brutality. I remember seeing that and I was shocked to my core. I was like, holy shit, Danganronpa, what is this? Long gone are the motorcycle butter executions. And like, I thought that was the worst it could get. I was like, this is, I felt actually sick to my stomach seeing Kaide's, but not as sick as Kurumi's. I cannot watch that execution again. It's so heart-wrenching, and just like, the whole almost getting out, like, I remember her climbing the vines and just like always like getting stabbed by the thorns. Oh my god, is it heart-wrenching, and just like, like, you know she's not going to get out. But like, just the visual image of like, oh, maybe she could make it. Even though you know it's not going to happen. Just replaying it in my head, it's so brutal. And I think it's one that I never want to see again. Like, I hate just even thinking about it. Because it's that like traumatizing, honestly. It's not a bad execution. It's so memorable in a way that I don't want to remember it. Because of just how brutal it is. And just how, like, it's a character I liked too, so that doesn't help. If it was a character I hated going through it, I imagine I'd have a different tone. But for a character who killed someone that wanted to die You know what I mean? And then that's the way she goes. And it has nothing to even do with being a maid either. It's just, I remember climbing the thorns and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Danganronpa is not playing around anymore. I mean, you can argue Korekio's a little goofy. Gonta's is a bit goofy with the big bugs, but it feels more brutal. Like, the tone just feels darker.